Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you with an action figure that I thought I'd never, ever get to have in my collection. Today we're going over the Marvel Legends Scarlet Spider Vintage Spider-Man Wave action figure. And this, guys, if you can find this figure for a relatively decent price, get him. This thing is just skyrocketing in price right now. It is crazy. If you want to pick it up, check with your local comic shop first and see if anybody's traded one in. If not, I have seen them on Amazon, but beware. It's usually between $120 to almost they think $200. So, good luck. Fingers crossed. I've been hunting almost 2 years and I finally got my hands on one. And as you can see here, the card looks great. Love how it just reminds me of all the 90s action figures from that time, even though I get tired of the bubble pack and having to cut them out. That's why I like the new Legends packaging. Anyway, still looks good. Scarlet Spider, swappable parts. Good stuff there. You see the figure there. Nothing there. We'll come around to the back. You get the read up on Ben Reilly, so I'll get a close up so you can check that out at your convenience. Same with the figures from this vintage wave. Come back around this way. Nothing there. Nothing on the bottom. Nothing on the top, as you can see. So with that said, let's get Mr. Reilly out of the packaging and get a closer look at this amazing figure. And here's the Scarlet Spider out of the packaging. And as you can see, once you get Ben Reilly out and start posing him around, it just looks fan-flippin-tastic. I mean, look at how bendy this guy is. You can get him in all those cool Spidey poses, and you're just gonna have an excellent time. There's not a whole lot that I can harp on, but there's maybe two things. So what are those two things? Let's get him off the stand and get a closer look at this epic figure. Ben Reilly was the first successful clone of Peter Parker, though when he was first created by Gary Conway and Ross Andrew, he wasn't named Ben. He was just a clone, essentially, and he appeared in Amazing Spider-Man issue 149 from July of 1975, and he was cloned by the Jackal. Now, the Jackal tried to put Peter and Peter against each other. However, they eventually teamed up to try and save a cloned Gwen Stacy. Now, Ben seemingly dies, and Peter drops Ben's body into a smokestack to remove evidence of a second Peter Parker. However, that's not the case. He survives, and Ben's first appearance as the Scarlet Spider was in Web of Spider-Man issue 118 from September of 1994. Now, when we find out that Ben's not dead, he leaves New York because there's nothing there for him. It's here he adopts the name Ben Reilly, which is a combination of Uncle Ben's name and Aunt May's maiden name. Ben dyed his hair blonde to distinguish himself from Peter, and the plan at the time was for Ben to be revealed as the true Peter Parker and take over the Spider-Man identity, with Peter Parker being the clone. This is where the iconic and convoluted 2-year Clone Saga began. And there's so many books. Like, they essentially just released week after week for 2 years straight. It is a massive story to read. Now, Ben allegedly died in Spider-Man number 75 from October of 96. But of course, he returned in more modern books. This was a period of Spider-Man that I had a hard time keeping up with. So please fill me in on essential reading. I'd love to get back into it and at least read the important books from the Clone Saga without having to go through every single one of them. So let me know. And with that said, let's talk about this figure and his accessories. First off, he comes with a pair of fist hands, which I kind of wish, if you can get custom webs or whatever, I wish they'd give you some more relaxed ones so you could put some webs in there, because the closed fist, it's welcome, but then if you have those and you can put webs through them. He does come, of course, with the iconic flip, however you want to say it, fingers. So you get two of these. So those are welcome. I just wish that we could get somewhere where you could slide some ropes in between his hands, so it looks like he can actually, like he's swinging off of a spider web as he's going to flip for another web. And as we just talked about in Ben's backstory, he dyes his hair to distinguish himself from Peter Parker. And so you can see the Peter Parker face mold here with the blonde hair. Really well done. Now, when I was playing with these really warmed this head up, because trying to get it on that head peg, oh my God, that was a nightmare swapping out heads. So make sure you warm this up before you pop it on the peg, because that hole in there, whew, is super flapping tight. Now those are the only accessories that this Spider-Man comes with. The paint apps, from what I understand too when I was reading about this backstory, is the Marvel creators kind of gave Reilly this uniform as kind of like a mocking parody, but the fans loved it, and I can see why. You know, you kind of get that velvet look with the blue hoodie, and then just all the 90s accessories and unnecessary buckles. I don't know, it works. There's just those times where it just works. And then the lack of like webs, like Spider-Man, just kind of had that anti-look. And then of course the spider on the front and the back look amazing. And then for the figure itself, I love the eyes, the big white eyes, and then of course the way the red, that scarlet red reflects in the light. I do wish, however, if you're going to get like a throwover hoodie, either go Mafex or Hot Toys route and actually give us one that you can take on and off instead of it being part of the mold. I am glad that at least the hoodie strings are kind of loose, as is the hoodie back here. And, you know, it looks natural the way that it would actually contour around the back of your shoulders. So, you know, it looks natural like it would for a hoodie, but that's just me. The silver web shooters are awesome. Love the belt with the little red button. Very Batman-esque. Speaking of Batman, from what I understand with the Clone Wars, oh my God, I'm thinking Star Wars. The Clone Saga is Marvel essentially wanted their death of Superman / Nightfall, because during this time period, you know, DC was kicking ass with Batman having his back broken and Azrael taking over the mantle of Batman, Superman dying, and then we get the Fourth Superman, which was the Reign of Superman arc. And so Marvel wanted their, their big event. So that's what the Clone Saga was all about. And that's why I said I want to read it. And then of course, in terms of 90s unnecessary pouches on the ankles, it just works. I don't know. Now, the one thing that irks me, and I kind of wish Hasbro would stop doing, is actually give us more natural looking feet. Like, these are ridiculously large. It looks like Plucky Duck or Daffy Duck feet. My God, I mean, look at that. It's ridiculous how wide those feet are. Whew. That's probably one of the only things I hate most about this figure in terms of the paint apps. Everything else, spot on, looks beautiful. Now let's talk about their articulation. Head goes down that much. Head go back that way. And then you can kind of back and forth. Little play there. Good stuff. Arm up that way. Arm up that way. 360 spinny. Upper bicep swivel. Double jointed elbow. Hand spin 360, hand go up, hand go down. Ab crunch about that much, ab crunch that much. He's a bendy figure, and I'm very thankful for that. Especially with, you know, Spider-Man and Deadpool figures, you really want them to be bendy. You can go about that much. Upper thigh cut. Looking at you, McFarlane. Now be careful, warm these up, because this is, I have to do this again, like probably third or fourth time I have to get this upper thigh cut to actually swivel. It is tat. Leg go up 90 degrees. Double jointed knees. And then of course, like with every Marvel Legends figure, the cursed butt flap. You have to go off to the side. Come on, do better, man. Oh, it's frustrating as crap. And then foot go up, foot go down, foot go pivot like so. So overall, yeah, the articulation, other than that dreaded butt flap, I'm glad that you can get him into all sorts of fancy poses. Now, one thing that I lastly want to reference in terms of the paint apps, why would you do this? Why would you put it there? What were you thinking, man? Take this, put it there where no one gives a shit. I'm just saying, stop putting it on the legs and the butts. Perverts. I'm just kidding. Anyway, overall, absolutely astounding figure. Now, one last thing that I do want to reference when I was talking about these big-ass platypus feet. How hard would it be to look at like something that like McFarlane was doing? I mean, look at the feet on the Psycho that we went over. How hard was it just to make those feet just look a little bit more natural? I'm just saying. But I guess that's too hard, then not acceptable. Whatever. I'm happy nonetheless. Overall, I love everything about this figure. I'm glad to finally have it in my collection. This was probably one of the biggest pain in the butts to find. With that said, though, there are a few things that's wrong with this figure. I wish Hasbro would pay more attention to feet. Particularly on this one. They gave him some platypus level feet. And I'm just like, my God, I don't think anybody's ever looked that ridiculous. So, gotta ignore that. And then on his back, when you crunch him, the spider separates. The same thing happens with the Miles Morales that I got the Gamerverse one. It's the nature of the beast, but again, that's where like Hot Toys and Mafex are kicking Hasbro and McFarlane's ass, and they really need to step up their game in that regard. The only other two things, of course, is the butt flap and not being able to move the leg all the way back. Hoods. This kind of goes back to Mafex and Hot Toys. Give us a hood that can go over his head. And they kind of did that with the Spider-Gwen, where, you know, even though they couldn't have a cloth that went over the figure's head, what would happen is you could take the hood on and off. You just pop the head off and then just set it at your leisure. So, you know, things like that goes a long way with collectors. Setting that aside, though, overall, for the, you know, okay, one last thing. Soapbox. Give us some webs. Oh my God, how hard is it that you release all these spider figures and we get no webs? I had to go on eBay and find a customizer to give me these webs. Why is that so freaking hard? Come on. Though I will say, at least, again, off the soapbox, with that said, it gives you a chance to be creative and try to make your own, but sometimes you just want to get out of the box and start posing and not have to worry about making stuff. That aside, beautiful figure. Love it. If you guys have enjoyed it, please, as I said, check with your local comic shop first, see if anybody's traded it in. If not, then I give my fingers crossed for you guys that you can find it relatively inexpensive on the secondary market. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little clone bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, photo slideshow coming up next. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.